Why it sucks to be born as a Tarnished by game.mp4. To be fair, I have not that much. I don't know that much about Elden Ring. We'll just see what this is.
You wake up in a crypt, surrounded by the stench of death and failure. Congratulations, you're a Tarnished. What's a Tarnished, you ask? Well, imagine being so good at your job that the universe itself kicked you out of the lands between, slapped a graceless sticker on your forehead, and told you, we'll call you when we need you. But
That's the backstory? That's the backstory. Bro is a victim of his own success. The Tarnished is a victim of his own success. That's very interesting.
now, for reasons unknown, Grace has decided to swipe right on you. Does this mean you're special? No, it just means you're the latest contestant in Who Wants to Die repeatedly for some cosmic being's cause. Your first challenge? A tutorial boss called the Grafted Scion. It's an abomination of limbs, swords, and self-esteem issues. Naturally, it kills you in one hit, but don't worry.
This is what happening when you come into the sink or into the toilet and you flush. This is what we're crawling in the sewers. If you do that, don't do this.
This is From Software. Dying isn't the end, it's the start of a beautiful, masochistic relationship. After your humiliating defeat, you respawn in a tomb that screams budget funeral home. A ghostly voice whispers cryptic nonsense about grace and destiny, but you're too busy wondering why your armor looks like it was looted from a medieval yard sale. Finally, you step outside and bam, the land's in between. It's gorgeous, it's vast, and it's filled with things that want to kill you. A hulking tree sentinel on a golden horse stands nearby, daring you to approach. Do you, 1, charge in heroically, 2, run away screaming, number 3, accidentally aggro it and die in 2 hits?
I think all these three people do, but I think charge in heroically is clearly the answer. However, I am more a accidentally aggro it and die in 2 hits. That is more my type. I do that a lot in Xenoblade. That is more my thing. Accidentally aggro a monster or unique enemy and just heckin' die. That is me. It's 3.
If you chose option 3, congratulations, you're playing this life correctly. Eventually, you stumbled upon the first NPC, Whiteface Varen. He greets you with, "Ah, a Tarnished are we?" Translation, "Wow, you look pathetic." He tells you about the
Maidenless! Well, that can't be me. I have a maiden. Not my issue.
Elden Ring, the Air Tree, and something about fingers. It's weird. Everyone here is really into fingers.
Sukuna? They're all Sukuna. That's what it is. Also, chat. My favorite expression is the one that says, "Never bite the hand that fingers you." Or something like that.
Then Melina shows up, ethereal and mysterious, offering you a deal. She'll help you, but only if you agree to carry her everywhere like some medieval Uber. You say yes, partly because you're desperate and partly because Torrent, her spectral horse, looks awesome. What she doesn't mention, Grace isn't just a guide, it's the greater will's way of manipulating you into fixing its mess. Armed with a rusty sword, a rickety shield, and a questionable sense of purpose, you set off into the world. You're broke, clueless, and about to die more times than you can count. Welcome to the lands between, Tarnished.
One thing I'll also know is that you can sacrifice yourself for the maiden. That is also something I know. Because of all the TikTok edits. That's what I know. And some of the bosses I know. Who seem really cool. Poke, you are maidenless. No, I am not. Frog GF exists.
You're gonna love it here. Still licking your wounds from the tree sentinel encounter, you wander aimlessly until you stumble upon the Church of Ella. This is your first taste of civilization, though calling it that feels generous. Inside, you meet Kale, a merchant who looks like he's one bad deal away from bankruptcy. He sells you a crafting kit and soap because even in the world of cosmic horror, hygiene is important. But before you can question why this guy's name sounds like a salad ingredient, a blue-haired woman named Ronnie shows up. She hands you the spirit calling bell, allowing you to summon spectral allies. She's cryptic, aloof, and definitely knows more than she's letting on. Classic From Software NPC energy. Spoiler, she doesn't. Not yet, anyway. Just when you're starting to get the hang of this whole
I just know a lot of people want to bang the women in Elden Ring. I just know. Yes, even the women that want to actually delete you. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay, everyone would guess the world is ending. I guess it's not ending. It's all good. I didn't hear the trumpets yet.
wandering peasant in a death world thing, Melina shows up again. She's still mysterious, and this time she offers you a deal. Take her to the air tree, and she'll give you the ability to level up. You agree, partly because you're desperate for power, and partly because, why not, just look at that horse! Armed with your new steed and a vague sense of purpose, you follow the glowing rays of grace. These act as your GPS, leading you toward your first major objective, Stormvale Castle. Along the way, you encounter...
Just Google a guide, dude. Yeah, I realized that. I do that too. For like the bigger games. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna mess around here. I'm gonna 100% Google a guide. Clank, clank, clank. Since clank, clank, clank. What would be a formal way to say get pregnant, though?
A mix of grotesque monsters, cryptic NPCs, and the realization that they weren't kidding about being really into fingers. Stormvale is a sprawling fortress ruled by Godric the Grafted, a demigod with an unhealthy fascination for DIY limb enhancement. As you fight your way through traps, enemies, and enough lore to fill a wiki, you begin to understand the stakes. The Elden Ring isn't just a shiny object, it's the blueprint for reality itself, shattered and scattered among power-hungry demigods. When you finally confront Godric, he does what any self-respecting megalomaniac would. Chops off his own arm and replaces it with a dragon's head, because why not?
Why not? If you have the ability, I mean, why not? Bro, wikied all 4 Xenoblades. Yes. Sure.
After a grueling battle, you emerge victorious. You've taken your first great rune, a shard of the Elden Ring, and it feels like the universe itself is whispering, "Not bad, kid. Now do it 5 more times." Defeating Godric is a turning point. You're no longer just a clueless Tarnished, you're a Tarnished with a purpose. And that purpose? To collect the great runes, restore the Elden Ring, and decide the fate of the lands between. But don't get cocky, this is only the beginning, and the lands between still has plenty of ways to humble you. With Godric's defeat behind you, you're feeling confident, maybe too confident, but the lands between isn't about to roll out a red carpet. Instead, it's rolling out a parade of horrors. Fire-spewing chariots, dragons with a vendetta, and NPCs with more red flags than a toxic ex.
No.
As you venture out, the true scale of the lands between hits you.
I think a toxic ex has more red flags. You don't need to date. You didn't date an NPC. You did date your toxic ex. Just saying.
Limgrave was just the kiddie pool. Now you're diving into places like Liurnia of the Lakes, a vast expanse of water, magic, and regret. Here you meet the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. The Academy's leader, Renala, is a powerful sorceress with a tragic backstory and a knack for hurling moon magic at your face. Beating her feels less like a victory and more like surviving an abusive physics class. But it's not all doom and gloom. Along the way, you start to gather allies, or at least people who tolerate you. Blade, the wolf-headed warrior, becomes your bro for life. And then there's Ronnie, the mysterious witch who offers you a questline so convoluted it might as well come with a flowchart. Your primary mission becomes clear. Collect all the great runes, each is guarded by a demigod, and
You don't need that. You just need a guide. Don't even need to listen to the story. Just listen to the guide. Doesn't matter.
each demigod has enough personal baggage to fill a therapy office. Radon, the Star Scourge, a giant warrior with gravity-defying powers and a tragic backstory. He's literally holding the stars in place. His festival of combat is less a battle and more a battle royale where everyone dies. Morgoth, the Omen King. Godric's less embarrassing relative who guards the capital with all the fervor of a mall cop on steroids. Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy. He fed himself to a giant snake because subtlety isn't in his vocabulary. The Lands Between is also full of characters who range from vaguely helpful to outright homicidal. Patches, a recurring troll who alternates between robbing you and pretending to be your friend. D, Hunter of the Dead, a grim figure with a grudge against anything undead. Spoiler,
So he's racist? What? That's interesting.
things don't end well for him. Thea, Deathbed Companion. She offers to hold you, but drains your health in the process. It's the most toxic relationship you'll ever agree to. These characters...
A hug so good, it ends up deadly. True and real. But isn't this just every woman? I have the question, isn't this just every lady? There's always a chance your life force will be drained.
Characters add depth to the world, but they also remind you that trust is a luxury you can't afford. But hey, you've got Torrent, a glowing sword, and the determination of someone who's died 200 times and keeps coming back for more. What could possibly go wrong? With a few great runes in your pocket and a growing list of demigod therapy bills in your wake, you press forward, starting to feel like a little more like someone who can actually get this Elden Lord gig done. Spoiler, you're wrong. The Lands Between isn't finished humbling you yet. First on the chopping block, Star Scourge Radon, the biggest boy on the block. Literally, Radon is a walking mountain who somehow still rides his childhood pony, Leonard. It's not cute, it's tragic. The Scarlet Rot, a gift from Melania.
I mean, if I have to carry that big man as a little horse, Peter's just gonna straight up call me. They're gonna cancel me.
In their clash has eroded his mind, his body, and most of his common sense, leaving him a feral beast with gravity magic strong enough to hold the literal stars hostage. You're invited to the Radon Festival, which sounds fun until you realize Festival in the Lands Between is just code for Suicide Pact. Warriors from across the world have gathered, not to fight with you, but to create a chaotic distraction while you desperately dodge meteors and figure out how to land a hit on Radon without becoming medieval roadkill. After what feels like hours of dying, regrouping, and questioning your life choices, you finally take him down. The stars resume their celestial dance, and you bask in the victory, until you remember that you've only just started.
Souls games. I don't get them. Though Dark Souls 1 was pretty fun to play. You guys are just really interested in an abusive relationship. I know exactly the type of women you would date. 100%.
Next up, Praedor Rykard, who apparently woke up one day and thought, you know what would go great with my god complex? A giant snake. He fed himself to said snake, transforming into a grotesque hybrid. Armed with a serpent hunter spear, that's literally what it's called, you stab, dodge, and cheese your way to victory. Then there's Morgoth, the Omen King, the capital's grumpy gatekeeper.
So bro walked up to the snake, got eaten by the snake. The snake, he absorbs the snake partially, becomes part of the snake. I also heard that you can make yourself really broken and solo this fight pretty easily. I've seen clips of people going really ridiculous into this fight.
If Godric was the embarrassing cousin everyone pretends doesn't exist, Morgoth is the sibling who gets all the work done but never gets the appreciation. His golden weaponry and relentless aggression make him a tough opponent, but you manage to take him down. In true From Software fashion, his dying breath isn't gratitude or regret, but pure, unfiltered spite. Classic. And then the walking biohazard, Melania, Blade of Miquella. If Radon was a walking disaster, Melania is an elegant apocalypse. Her Haligtree...
All I know is that there's a dude. All I know is there is a dude who is called Let Me Solo Her. who just has eternal beef with this lady. He has eternal beef. That's all I know. Kaisen is a war hero for his Elden Ring marathon. True. Bro turned into a huge event. I remember that. But yeah, that is what I know about this lady. That there's somebody who has huge beef.
Every domain is a labyrinth of rot, despair, and enemies designed solely to make you scream into a pillow. She's got a move, Waterfowl Dance, that turns every fight into a high-stakes guessing game of, will I die instantly? Her Scarlet Rot infects the battlefield, a reminder that even in defeat, she takes you down with her. After countless retries, you emerge victorious. She transforms into a giant flower and calmly reminds you that she is undefeated because she blooms again and again. You're not sure whether to feel inspired or call it quits. But as you pocket their great runes, a question looms. Are you really fixing the world, or are you just another pawn in the greater will's cosmic game of who wants to be a puppet? With the great runes in hand and your growing kill count making you the lands between's least popular house guest, the weight of your journey begins to settle. But just as you think you're starting to make sense of this broken world, the truth sucker punches you. Your next destination is the Forge of the Giants, a fiery hellscape where you're tasked with burning the Erd Tree. Why? Because apparently your carefully curated collection of great runes isn't enough to break the Greater Will's grip. You need to barbecue the sacred tree at the heart of the Golden Order's power. But this isn't just a routine case of arson. To light the forge, someone has to sacrifice themselves. Enter Melina, your cryptic travel companion, and the closest thing you've got to a...
Now, this is the point where some people choose to sacrifice themselves instead, if I remember correctly. That's just what I assume. Here, at least.
A moral compass. She offers to immolate herself, and you're left with a choice. Let her go through with it, or embrace the frenzied flame and burn the world your way. But you start to wonder, is this truly your choice, or is it the greater will pulling the strings? Letting Melina go through with it feels like submitting to destiny, while embracing the frenzied flame is an act of rebellion so extreme it could torch the lands between and your very identity. Either way, you decide whether to let this woman burn herself. I hope you can live with yourself. You need to know what it is to make the choice, you say? Well, the Frenzied Flame is an outer god that's basically the chaotic evil cousin of the Greater Will. Where the Golden Order wants to impose its rigid structure, the Frenzied Flame offers freedom by burning everything and everyone to ash. But freedom nonetheless. If you choose to reject the flame and let Melina sacrifice herself, the Erd Tree burns and the Golden Order's influence begins to wane. This clears the way for you to enter crumbling Farum Azula, a floating ruin locked in eternal storms. Here, the mysteries of destined death are revealed. You face off against Malekith, the loyal guardian of the Rune of Death, who spent eons keeping mortality under lock and key. Then comes the Halig Tree, long thought to be Miquella's failed rebellion, but is revealed to be more than just a sanctuary for the cursed and the misbegotten. It's part of his master plan to usurp the Greater Will entirely. You uncover that Miquella's disappearance wasn't a simple kidnapping by Mog. It was part of Miquella's scheme to manipulate his bloodthirsty half-brother.
At this point, I understand nothing. At this point, I'm just looking at the nice animations.
Brother into advancing his own ascension into godhood. So Mog did beat the allegations. Miquella's motives become clearer and darker. He wasn't just building a paradise, he was constructing a prison for free will, using his abilities to bend others to his vision of perfection. And you, the Tarnished, have been unknowingly walking into his end.
Why does he give me Griffith vibes? Why does he give me Griffith vibes? Maybe it is Griffith. Does the Tarnished's wife get raped? Is this the problem here?
Game. As you piece together these revelations, one thing becomes painfully clear. The Greater Will, the demigods, the outer gods, they're all playing their own games, and you're the chess piece everyone wants to control. Even Marika, the enigmatic god who shattered the Elden Ring, begins to look less like a savior and more like a tragic tale. You march toward the final showdown with the growing realization that this journey isn't just about restoring the Elden Ring, it's about deciding whose vision of the world deserves to win, or if any of them do. At this point, you've burned the Erd Tree, acquired the Rune of Death, and left enough carnage behind to make even the most hardened warriors question your sanity. But now, as the lands between smolder and crack under your footsteps, it's time to confront the final truths. You make your way to the Ashen capital, formerly Leyendell, now buried under the weight of fire and ruin. The grandeur of the Golden Order is reduced to dust, its knights broken, and its last defenders little more than shadows of their former selves. The first obstacle is Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. Yes, he's back, and this time he's ditched the regal Golden Daddy look for a full-on primal rage mode as Hora Lu.
Bro just took steroids. That's all it is. Bro just took steroids and said, "Yep, I'm a run hands." So in fact, actually, God's is a great sword is actually obtainable in the game because the creator of the game is also a big fan of Berserk. God's sword, the Dragon Slayer. You have the Dragon Slayer. I have the NTR Slayer. We are not the same.
Imagine your dad at a barbecue, except instead of flipping burgers, he's flipping you into the ground repeatedly while screaming about being the apex predator. Or maybe not, if this gives war flashbacks for some of you. Turns out Godfrey wasn't just Marika's arm candy, he was her enforcer, the OG Elden Lord, who kept things in line before everything went sideways. And what now? He's here to remind you that he still got it. Defeating Godfrey clears the path to the Erdtree's heart, where the shattered remains of Marika and her counterpart Radagon await. Or should we say, her other half, because surprise, Marika and Radagon aren't just partners, they're two halves of
They're the same people, kind of, in a way. Like watching NTR, what the hell, Poke? NTR Slayer! The NTR Slayer! I'm slaying NTR, I'm not watching it! Your ears are for decoration! You know what also what I also have in my basement? The Thought Slayer.
the same being. Yup, the Greater Will looked at the idea of Self-Crest and said, perfect, ship it. And you're left thinking, at least they aren't brother and sister like some other possible couple in this game. I'm kidding, you're actually left thinking. Does this mean you've been fighting one god with severe identity issues, or two gods who can't decide who gets custody of the Elden Ring? I'm kidding again, you don't really get the chance to think a lot before Radagon starts.
Or a god with multiple... this personality disorder? Could be all three.
Hammering away at you. Radagon, furious and glowing with divine energy, unleashes his full power. Just as you start to think you've won, the Greater Will pulls out its final card, the Elden Beast, a celestial nightmare made of stars, divine order, and your deepest insecurities. The Elden Beast isn't just a fight, it's the universe's final middle finger. Oh, you think you're hot stuff because you made it this far. Meet my glowing space fish. You realize this thing isn't just a boss, it's the embodiment of the Greater Will's control. But hey, you didn't come this far to let a star-powered koi pond stop you. So, armed with sheer determination and maybe a healthy dose of rage after dying 200 times to Millennia, you landed the final blow. Congratulations, you've officially ticked off the cosmos, but your journey isn't over. With the Elden Ring in ruins and Marika's reign at the end, you're presented with a choice, or rather, a series of moral dilemmas disguised as endings. Number 1. Age of Fracture. The default ending. You slap the Elden Ring back together like you're fixing a leaky faucet and become Elden Lord. The Golden Order is restored, the lands between sighs and relief, and nothing fundamentally changes. It's like cleaning up after a wild party. Everything looks fine, but the smell lingers. Number 2. Age of Duskborn. You followed Fia, let her cuddle you, and now you're fixing the death problem.
Let her cuddle you, and now you're fixing the death problem. I would pick this route. Hugs are a great reason to pick an ending.
You use the Mending Rune of the Death Prince to restart the life-death cycle, breaking the immortality curse. It's peaceful, it's poetic, and it makes you wonder, was all the murder really necessary? Yes it was. Number 3. Blessing of Despair. You aligned with the Dung Eater, which says more about you than it does about the lands between. The Mending Rune of the Fell Curse ensures the world is plunged into endless despair. Imagine being crowned king, only to doom your descendants to eternal suffering. Though the modern equivalent would be just birthing a kid in this economy. Number 4. Age of Order. By solving Gold Mask's cryptic puzzles and completing Brother Corhin's questline, you unlock the Mending Ruin of Perfect Order. This ending smooths out the inconsistencies of the Golden Order, creating a world of peace and structure. It's the neat freak dream. No chaos, no anomalies, just orderly.
The true good ending, so to speak? Is that what this is in this case?
Harmony. The lanes between gets a glow up, and you get to feel smug about fixing what Marika broke. Just don't think too hard about how culty Perfect Order sounds. Number 5. Lord of Frenzied Flame. Burn it all, no gods, no kings, just ashes. Embrace chaos and become the physical embodiment of the Frenzied Flame, ensuring that the world will never again be ruled by the divine tyranny or anything else for that.
That's me. Burn this down. Burn everything. That would have been me a couple of years ago.
Matter. Number 6, Age of the Stars. The Rani ending. You ditch the Greater Will and the lands between entirely, joining Rani in her quest to become a cosmic goddess. It's the most romantic ending, sure, but also the most confusing. Do you rule the stars now?
Wait, there's a girlfriend route? There's a girlfriend route? You can actually get bitches in this game? I'm gonna play it immediately.
Are you a celestial sidekick? Whatever it is, you've officially ghosted the lands between. And that's it. The world is broken, again, but hey, at least it's not your problem anymore. Roll credits, cause you did it, Tarnished. You either saved the lands between, doomed it to eternal suffering, or yeeted yourself into the cosmos with your blue doll wife. Either way, your name will go down in history, or at least in the angry rants of every NPC you accidentally killed along
It does have a girlfriend ending.
the way. Now go touch some grass. Literally, the air tree's ashes are...
That's pretty much the end of the video. That was interesting. It was a very simplified version of, that's a very simplified version of probably the Elden Ring story, but okay. Okay. I liked it. I like the cutesy animations. I like it.